This meeting is being recorded.
Aloha. It is the Beyond Boundaries podcast, where we go beyond the boundaries of the normal societal confines of the mind, and we expand our hearts wide so we can receive new information, new codes, new love, and be able to embrace the new. Usually you see Matt and I not in person together, so it's really cool to have us in person this time. And then we have a beautiful guest named Olivia, who is this awesome radiant, as you can just see with her face and her glow. She's radiant. She's an awesome person. I've only got to meet once. I didn't get to connect with as much as I'm excited to do right now, but I was inspired by her energy. And I'll preface this with one more thing. It's that we did this intention setting circle for the new lighthouse, and we meditated it. She comes out and she's like, guys, like, does nobody else see big gold light flooding in through my canal? Yeah, I like this girl a lot. So she's a sex coach and probably so much more than that, and that's what we're going to hear about today. So welcome, Olivia.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, just even going based off that experience, that's actually what I help people do. I help people experience and feel, these beautiful things in your subconscious and your creativity that wants to come through. But sometimes it's so hard with our limiting beliefs, our subconscious blocks. And it's like, how can we shift our energy, our body to be a match to really welcome in these beautiful experiences? So thank you.
I love that. Yeah. So I had a couple questions planned out, but do you have anything just right off the spark of the intuition that's you want to ask Olivia? Put you on the spot.
Right. Let's see. So I guess the first question would be just like, is there something in your life, like a specific point, a specific instance or event that kind of like led you to start pursuing your path that you're on now?
Yeah.
Very gradual. Yeah,
it was definitely gradual, but it's funny because I was talking to my friend, a month ago, and she even said that she remembers in college when I was 18 studying abroad with her, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a sex expert, just like how you see in Meet the Parents, there's the mom that's like the yoga instructor that's like a sex coach. And it's funny because I always like put that aside because I was pursuing, the corporate world of just working up the corporate ladder, doing what, gave me that security and stability when it came to business. But I always, would have loved to just keep, sorry, let me turn off my, all right, so sorry about that, I'm getting a call, so how's that? Okay. And so I just always felt like, there's no way I can be a relationship expert. Like, look at my relationships. I'm so bad at like keeping or even getting a partner. Like, how is this, like, how could I ever pursue, this type of business when I myself struggle so much with my own dating and love life? And so it was this constant thing of like, I was unhappy in my romantic partnerships. Like I had really intense experiences where it was like my dating life was an emotional roller coaster, and all I was really seeking was that love. Like, I really wanted that love, and I was seeking it so much outside of myself, when really, as you start to do the work, you got to really start to look in and give yourself that self-love. So that was definitely an aspect of the journey that, was instrumental. And I feel like we all are searching for that love, and there is a self-love journey that happens. And I never liked how people would tell me, oh, take that bath, like, that's the self-love. Like, no, that's not true self-love. Self-love is really, looking at all parts of yourself and loving those, parts that maybe you aren't too proud about, and really being able to sit with your feelings, sit with yourself, and, honor that, hey, maybe I feel a little, jealous, or maybe I feel unworthy, but hey, it's something that I'm working towards, and I'm accepting all of me within, the whole journey in itself. So that is a little bit of the journey, I would say, that has led me to pursue this strongly.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's almost like you could replace the word self-love with self-acceptance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, fully accepting ourselves really allows us to kind of move into that place where you're accepting of others and can be more honest, more vulnerable without feeling like you're in a place where you're going to be hurt too bad, you know?
You're literally just talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does a sex coach really do? Like, because I have this thing in my head, like I hear some people are like, ooh, I'm a tantra massage therapist, and I just imagine like warm oil and someone grabbing my balls, but then I'm like, not like what everybody's new meaning of tantra is. But what's this to you?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, tantra too. I don't always call myself a tantric coach because of, it's in the media. But really to me, tantra is, there is consciousness in everything and all your experiences. And once you start to realize that you are the creator, that's when things start to shift. It's going away from that victim mentality to you are creating your experience. So at a certain level, you got to come back to yourself and be like, what energy am I really holding in my body and really putting out there that I may not even know about because of all my, like my upbringing, society and culture and everything. And Tantra really gives you the tools to experience an empowering relationship with your emotions, with, your relationship to your body, to the world around you. So it really takes you away from like, all right, this is a problem, this is like what's happening, to, all right, let me really see myself as the observer. Let me see these different perspectives that can, open my eyes and see it from a new light and see how this is all part of the lesson and the soul growth and evolution.
So that you're just so graceful at putting that out, like so elegantly said, but I'm still wondering, does it involve like grabbing balls or no?
So let me get into the more technical side. So I would say the most technical sexually, I would say my sessions with couples is where I teach them tantric massage, right? So that is more so I'm teaching them different movements, ways to go slow, ways to really have an intention behind the sexual experience. And I think some of these basic things of like intention and breath that we forget is so, so, so important. It's usually your mindset going into the experience that changes it, right? So on a technical level, it's like using your breath, how to move your energy through your body, how to really, become more sensitive to sensations and pleasure. And really, to be honest, it's like a lot of that work happens through just opening and releasing some of that emotion that you've been suppressing, right? So it's like, how do you feel more pleasure and get into those ecstatic states of bliss? Well, you also have to not be afraid to feel maybe some of the pain or some of the stored trauma that you have. Also knowing that there's such a small difference between like pain and pleasure and sadness and pleasure. Like our emotions change and alchemize so much. So it's like, once you go into it, you see it's more of a surrender and an energy. It's not really the emotion itself. It's the energy that really takes you and, delivers that knowledge to you and communicates that. So yeah, on a technical level, it's like the tantric massage is probably the most technical. And like, I don't do necessarily as much hands-on work. It's more so I teach you how to connect to your body and change your relationship to self-pleasure, change your relationship to how you experience sex because of these deeper concepts and teachings, tantric ancient teachings that, we make practical and how to apply it to your everyday life. Yeah.
So is a lot of what you're teaching kind of prior to the actual engagement of sex, right? Are you teaching people how to use their breath and do like meditative practices together in like a relationship, and then kind of like bringing that into, the sexual encounter, I guess I'll say? It's a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. So I would say my couples work is actually just like that itself. I take couples through different exercises, from intimacy exercises to the breath work that they can apply, sexually or just in their self-pleasure practices as well. So it really ranges. It's like, yes, I teach you the breath and the focus and how to move the energy so then you can apply it, into your love making, right? But of course too, like I always hold space since my clients are virtual. It's like we turn the camera off and you can go ahead and as comfortable as you are. I'm here just to be the voice to guide you, to hold the space and really allow the safe space for you to experience, a sacred energetic experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome because after reading Montauk Chia and then putting to practice for a couple years now, the ejaculation and retention, it's such a specific art form to be able, which I'm far from being perfect at. But I'm pretty good at the one part. I just need to get to make the prostate nerves to actually give the full orgasmic experience. I'm great at holding it in, but I've been doing that for I don't even know how long. But so you, I'm assuming, are really, really good at actually connecting your energy and then also guiding other people through laser focus, like nothing else exists except this, like moving of nerve signals and love for the brain. So you've cultivated that. So one question to end all that with.
Yeah.
So do you get yourself personally into like did you reach the goal of what they talk about?
So I would say, it's definitely a journey. I've had my own share of experiences, through breath work, also through plant medicine that has really showed me glimpses of what's possible and what my body is capable of. Like, I'll give you one example is I used to think that I always needed a partner to experience these ecstatic states of bliss and merging of like the soul and the love and the pleasure and the ecstasy, where I have now learned that like I can do this on my own, and sure, with a partner it will be amazing, but like you are capable of reaching these states on your own as well. So that was a huge shift for me of just taking my power back and realizing like, it is a relationship to me, to my body, to my soul, to my, sacredness and my connection with spirit. So there are many flavors to it. And even as you mentioned, like into like semen retention and things like that. So in my men's work, I teach men different practices, right? More so though, it's more on the aspect of like, rather than being so, I would say like, maybe you would call it more the masculine energy that's more like strict and rules. It's more of an exploration. So that's where my energy comes in. It's more of that feminine way of exploring the unknown and without having too much like rules of like how this should be done. So in a way, it's almost like taking back your power by knowing that your body has the knowledge and it has the power to do this. It's like literally taking away your mind and going into the body and being able to have this like mind body shift that is like really the life-changing sauce, right? So in a way too, I always say like it's always good to just explore and be playful and be curious. Like that's when the most magic is going to happen, not when like you have this rule and this goal. And don't get me wrong, I come from a background too where I was like, I need this, I want this, and it was all about that. But really it's the journey and the process that is what makes it magical. Because you'll get to the end and you'll be like, oh, that was it. I should have enjoyed all this other time that I had while I was leading up to that one experience. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like there's a talk that reminds me of by my Swami Kriyananda, where he's talking about how sex isn't just the engagement you do in bed together. There's so much more of that leads up to that is like what makes the relationship more flavorful, more exciting, more fulfilling in that way.
Yeah.
It's like, an eye gaze across the room at a party, or just holding hands. Things like this are also, I guess you could call it like foreplay in a sense, but just like this, that's also engaging with that same side of the self that the sexual act is actually, like you're saying, it's like this, and then, oh wait, it can be like that if you don't have all those other aspects in play during the relationship. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. And this reminds me, as you're saying about that, like recently I was listening to a podcast on, Mary Magdalene's teaching in Christ consciousness. So what they say is, Mary Magdalene and Jesus were doing this work together. Right. And it was like, not even just like in the sexual aspect, like they were able to meditate with each other and just connect their kundalini energies and have this meditative merging of their soul, which to me is true sexual energy exchange. Like, how can you really just merge your souls together and realize there's this, you know, limitless potential of your energy with someone else's, and it's like this beautiful dance, you know, within the divine. And yeah, I mean, there's so much magic to it, and I just want people to be open to experiencing, and like the vulnerability aspect, like you said, a lot of the work is on just teaching really people how to build their vulnerability muscle, and that's what we need more of for sure.
So I want to practice building it right now. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn this into a free coaching session for Kasha.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say to somebody who has been very, very good on his own and good at self-pleasuring and good at feeling full, and then has this limiting belief that I found myself in? And that's when I was just at Tony Robbins. It's the one thing that came up. It was like, oh, we were identifying our limiting beliefs, and mine was the main one that I'll mention now was, oh, I don't really need anybody else. Like, I'm fine by myself. It's fun. But then I went back in my mind when we did these practices where we're remembering all of like these incredible, he's like, remember a sexy moment, remember a beautiful moment, remember a moment that you were so full of love. And like my mind would go back to my ex-girlfriend. Not like we're connected that way. We're really great friends to this day. And I called her and I told her that like just the beginning spark of our love together is really what like the main memories that kept coming to me. And I was like, wow, that's what you're missing out on when you have this limiting belief of like, oh, I'm all good by myself. So then I switched that to like, it's better together. So what would you say to somebody who's now working towards breaking that limiting belief and stepping into opening up to the world like that again?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that's a big one for sure. Because I know even myself, right? Like I'm in this place in my life too, where I'm ready for a conscious partnership. So I'm not settling for anything less. And it's a balance, right? So it's like some days it's okay to miss having someone. Like I had to really accept that, you know, I was doing this yin yoga practice, and like all of a sudden I'm like, I get flashbacks also of my ex, and just these moments of closeness that we had, that I had to accept that I was missing it, and I had to release that emotion. And I realized like once I released that emotion, like the next day I felt so much lighter. And it was this huge honoring of like, it's okay to feel all your feelings, you know. It's okay to sometimes be sad, you know, to be angry and to express it, right? We're not meant to be always like in this like high vibe state, right? I think that's really unnatural and not part of the human journey, right? So the biggest thing I would say too, it's like, it's that feeling that you got with, you know, with that partner, it has a specific flavor, right? And it's like, how can you really tap into embodying that outside of that relationship, right? Because maybe it might be just a connection or a conversation that you have with a friend about a certain topic, right? I don't know to what extent what that memory was, you know, if there was actually like the physical aspect. But sometimes
we found the bird together on our first date, an injured bird, and we revived the bird.
Okay, beautiful. So it's like, okay, that is even helpful because it's more detailed, right? So it's like looking at that experience, you know, what were the qualities of that experience that you feel like you can call in more of? And that's like what will get you to that frequency, right? As they always say, it's like, how can you be magnetic to what you're attracting? It's like being able to be in those states of like, wow, how magical, you know, we revived this bird. That sounds like you like helped this bird, right? Or this some sort of connection there. So yeah, it's like getting the clarity of knowing how you want to feel, right? That's huge. And sometimes it's like, yeah, it's like maybe it is just like accepting that, you know, right now I don't have this, but you know, I'm still want it. It's not like I don't want it just because otherwise then you're going back to the and you're like, I don't want it. And then so you're rejecting, and then it's never going to come, obviously. So how can we almost in a way, it's like trick ourselves to still feeling that connection, feeling that, you know, that love or that like awe inspiring moment, to then bring more of those experiences into our lives.
Okay, Dr. Joe.
Yeah. I mean,
Sweet.
it's easier said than done, but that's where the tools come in of like maybe doing that breath work and maybe releasing that emotion, or, maybe just experiencing something new that shifts your perspective.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love what you just said. I feel like we're really similar.
Yeah, I hope it helped, because I mean, yeah, trust me, it's a journey for myself as well. But yeah, there's always magic that comes through, and yeah, it's just about having that intention. Time and time again, I say intention is so important. It still blows my mind that like on one side, like some people don't even meditate, which is like, oh my gosh, like I forgot that there's like people who don't meditate still, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to help so many people like this, like start freaking out. But no, I mean, it comes in time, right? Like everyone, gets their moment, and all you can really be is an example, right? And then they'll get curious and they'll be like, oh, like how'd you do that, or like, show me, and that's really what matters, and that's what I want to spread for sure.
Be the magnet.
Yeah.
That's do you use visualization at all when you're guiding your patients, what you call them?
Yeah, my clients. Yeah, I don't like to call them patients, but my favorite. What I'll talk about, just because I have an event coming up on Tuesday. So I do a monthly sex magic manifestation breath work, and really what that is, it's an embodied breath work. In a way, it's like you get a firsthand experience as how to feel all the energy in all your chakras, how to raise, your vibration and your energy literally. And then you send it out, and then you bring it back into your body. And so what actually happens is you're refining your sexual energy, but through that experience, you're actually allowing your sexual energy to heal each chakra. And within the healing aspect, what happens is it's like you feel each energy center. So if there's some block or some resistance, you're going to feel it, but we create such a safe space for you to be able to go into that feeling, and then, be able to really realize, this full magical experience. Like sometimes, the sex magic breath work, sometimes it is more about releasing. Sometimes it's more about just feeling pleasure and play. And sometimes it's just feeling your power. So there's different sides to it. It's all based on what your intention is going into it, as well as, I'm sure, group energetically, who's there, who shows up. There's always a reason. And it's just beautiful to see how each of our energies come together to help support all of us. Yeah. So that's a big one. That's literally how you can raise your vibration, to literally like open up your energy centers, and then just shifts. Like I know people that shifts happen so quickly after that, because like they were able to maybe get through that like last piece of like grief that was in their heart, right? And because they felt safe to do so, within the group, because maybe they saw someone be able to release the emotion, or that it's so powerful.
Yeah, there's a big energy that happens in group meditations like that I think can be difficult. Or it's, there's a difference between doing something alone and then being in a group and really feeling that, like you're saying, the dynamic of who's there. And it's interesting too that I find in groups where it's like whoever's there, we're all kind of like going through similar things, even if you've never met each other.
Totally, yeah.
Really interesting part of group dynamics as well. And and there's just a lot of benefit from meditation in a group, even if you are like a seasoned meditator, somebody who only hangs out by themselves and does a lot of meditation. Like I think we can all benefit from then experiencing the group as well. There's so much energy that happens, so much learning that can happen, especially if you're incorporating sharing after the meditation, what did you go through? And then you hear somebody else like, oh, that was similar to what I experienced, and then you're getting people really, again, going into those vulnerable places and like really sharing from an honest and real place in the heart. That's beautiful. And I think it's really great too. So how many people are your clients are like, do you get a lot of like, some are maybe experienced with yogic practice, and then someone who's like, what are these chakras?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting because at this point, I've worked with all different types of clients where same thing, beginners that maybe have never really done any breath work or know where their chakras are, to friends who are, psychic and channel. And it's always different, right? Like, I always love it because like when I'm working with someone who's a great channeler, it's like, holy shit, it's like, it's like great confirmation for me because I may be experiencing it, but I'm like, oh, I don't know if she's feeling the same thing, right? Or he. But also what I've learned is even people who've never done any type of, tantric energy work, when they work with me, they're really able to like tap into hearing the energy. It's so fascinating because I do a simple exercise of like, maybe it's like, tuning into your breath, tuning into, you'll like this one. So this is it's a penis, heart, mind alignment exercise. And it is mind blowing to me how some men obviously have never done any type of like spiritual work have been able to be like, oh yeah, my heart says this to my penis, or my penis says this to my head. And it's so beautiful to hear because I'm like, oh my God, they're getting like such clear messages. Like, I'm like, even I wasn't able to get such clear messages when I started my work. I was like, holy crap, I'm jealous. So it's, no, it's really beautiful to see. Like, same thing. It's like, I've learned too in my meditative practices, it's like, the facilitator or the host really sets the stage for what to experience. Like it can be the same meditation, but with a different host or facilitator, they bring in their flavor, they bring in their energy, and it changes your whole experience. So that's what I always tell to people, explore, see what type of coach works for you. And like, you will connect with the right person. You just have to be open to it. And yeah.
Yeah, that being open to it is a big part, right? That's like,
yeah.
you probably run into a lot of people who, or maybe not, but I find just with any kind of experience where you're exploring the self, like there are some people who are really like blocked off from themselves, and it really takes a lot of work to dig in and really allow ourselves to feel. I think especially with men, right? Like this is something we're not taught to do necessarily. So yeah, really tapping into the inner feelings and then feeling comfortable with expressing or exploring those feelings. I think that's probably leads to a lot of that, beginner's luck that you were kind of like mentioning, like, oh man, you really tapped in really quick, it's like, I think it's like that, that well has just been compressing and compressing for so long that once they finally tap into it, it's just, from the root to the crown, right?
Totally,
yeah.
And I think like you condensing all of what and putting it into that practice, they wouldn't have been able to get to the well to let it combust like that. So you're like, oh, I was jealous. I didn't get to have it, but no, you put the long work in and made that the process so they could have that happen.
Sure, thank you for shining that for me.
Yeah, and getting to see so many people heal like that is in itself, just a wonderful experience, and can be very fulfilling. Just realizing like, oh yeah, just teaching people how to feel their own body, and then
it seems so simple, but yet, yeah. No, I mean it's huge because that my thing was always too. It's like don't believe, or not I should say, don't believe it just by someone who speaks something to you or tells you. Like, go experience it for yourself. That's the only way that it will truly change you and your perspective, is when you get to experience it yourself. So, as much as that's why I'm getting more out in Miami, and I just want people to experience the power of this breath work, because it's been huge for me. And like, I want people just to have fun with it. Like, we don't have to be so serious about, spirituality and healing. Like, we need to have fun and play with it. Like, it's, it's like, I'm not over here trying to be this like teacher or guru. Like, no, it's like, I'm your friend, and like, let's have fun and heal together and open our hearts more. Like, that's,
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm so glad you said that.
Just talking about that too.
Yeah. Realizing that it's fun, and kind of for me too, something that I've been thinking about is really this there's no difference between your spiritual life and your just everyday life.
Hell yeah, exactly, totally, yeah. You got to mark your 3 to 5D. I'm all about that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just life, and so and really like tapping into spirit is realizing like how amazing this life really can be in all moments. In relationship and being alone, just sitting in meditation and just like enjoying good food, like all of these things, all of the sensory parts of the body are given to us. These are gifts that we can experience God through. So through all these experiences, we can, like you're saying, with like going from the bottom chakra and bringing that energy up consciously. You can do that.
Explain.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah, exactly. Energy moving, boom.
Yeah. You can do that practice in any experience that you're having in life. And then once you realize that, it's just like, game on, and then you're fully experiencing everything that you're going through, whether it's a great experience or even if it's, a difficult experience. You can like, okay, can I raise the energy now? Can I fully be open to what's happening? And I find that when we're able to do that, it's like, so many doors open. It felt like, you could have felt like something was being closed or something's ending, but then when you fully embrace each moment in that way, and when you know how to tap into the energy centers, really allows you to like, okay, that happened, but now I can turn this way, and there's a brand new door. It just leads to such amazing experiences.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you said that beautifully. Like that's exactly what Tantra is about, is like the sense, like the sensations, and really being able to enjoy all of life. Like we're meant to experience everything here, and it's like, yeah, how can we really live life to its fullest and enjoy that? So totally on board with everything that you said.
Cool. Yeah, like they say, is Krishna is pure pleasure, right?
Yeah.
So this is like, in a way, it's like meeting Krishna. When you learn how to, control that energy in the body, or maybe control is not the right word, but really like tapping into it and realizing how to direct it and how, it's like it just opens life up to such more beautiful experiences. Something that, I think, like you're saying, like, oh man, there's people who don't meditate. Like that's so crazy. It's like there's so many new things that life opens up once you kind of learn to tap into the energy of the body and not just the physical realm that we're in as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what does your breath work look like?
Ooh, so the breath work is, so as I mentioned, so I did a video on this on YouTube and it went viral. I got like 20,000 views. So it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, I guess really people want to see this, right? So that was just amazing, because I guess I was resisting it too. I'm like, sex, magic, manifestation, like, is this like a buzzword? Like, I was like having my own internal struggle. And I'm like, no, I've always like really wanted to explore it more. And, I've done practices for myself, and so then I started doing this. Is maybe going to be our fourth event, like as a group officially. And I do this on one-on-one sessions as well with clients and couples. And so what it is, it's really, first we get clear on what are we calling in? Like what is our intention? What are we trying to manifest? And by manifesting, it's like manifesting something that's in your highest good, or your highest timeline, as I like to say. And that's key. I mean, of course, in a way too, it's like, well, whatever you manifest, it's whatever your soul's needing to get that lesson. But I have been such a firm believer in like, how can we consciously co-create, right? And the more that we can be clear with, what do we really want? And then usually it's really a feeling that we want. It's not that physical thing. It's actually a feeling, which is sometimes hard to really tap into. Like, I want that love and that relationship. But if I've never experienced that, sure, it's going to be freaking hard for me to tap into that unless I can raise my vibration and be in that ecstatic state, right? So that's the power of it. So we work through each of the chakras as we're breathing. And to be honest, it's more like, I would call it like an active meditation, because we're sitting, we're breathing, sometimes we're moving. I'm really giving people the opportunity to, if you want to sound out on exhale. If you want to move your body because it wants to move, explore. Like, this is your time to be as weird as you want to be. Okay. And we usually have sound. So either we have sound bowls or we have a playlist. So on top of that, the sound helps take you there. It helps really just get you more in. And then when you go more in, actually, then it's like, in a way, it's like you're also tapping into the sensation. So, so we work with each chakra until we get to that top space. And usually by this point, the energy is pretty intense. So we're all together in the top chakra, and then we send it out. And as we send it out, that's when we call in our desire. So it's like, and as we're calling in the desire, we're using all of our senses, right? So it's like, what does it feel like? What does it taste like? What feel it in every inch of our bodies, and then we bring the energy down. So, in order to manifest, you also need to ground the energy back down. And so it's this full circle of, as above, so below, as within, so without. So in order to really manifest from that grounded space, it's like, to me also, the visualization never really worked, because to be honest, I had way too much subconscious programming. Like, my mind was always against me, I'll be honest. And up until now that I've worked on it for a good 2-3 years of really changing my beliefs, that were so ingrained from childhood, that like, now I'm starting to see, wow, okay. So it was always just like how I was talking to myself, and my self-doubt, right? So like, that's a huge one. Shame, releasing shame. So much happens within that breath work that, you release the shame, you release like the doubt, and, anything that's really preventing you from accessing those, those states that you really want to be in. And I think it's beautiful because regardless, you'll feel some type of physical sensation of like maybe buzzing. Maybe you'll feel buzzing in your hands. Maybe you will feel warmth, or like some type of physical sensation that I truly believe helps you, one, believe and experience that energy is real. Like, there's no denying it. You're physically feeling it, right? So at this point, like, you can't like make this shit up. Like, you're physically feeling it. And and then that integration piece, right? Like, we bring it all together through the integration, and I think that's truly where the magic happens. Sometimes that actually is the key of opening your voice. Are you going to speak up about your experience? I say I always make it a safe space if you want to go, or if you don't. But who knows? Maybe I'll play around with like, everyone has to say something just to let the energy flow a little bit, right? And so I really do think also, like, collectively there are definitely themes. Like, last circle was all, like, a lot of purging, I'll be honest. So I was like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting so much purging, but it was needed, right? So whatever we were going through, it was like, some of us were coughing, a lot of us were crying, but like, the body needed that to then be able to feel lighter, right? So I mean, it's truly magical just to know that your body has this power to heal itself, and you have the power to heal you. Like, I'm not the healer here. Like, you are the healer. I'm just holding the space, teaching you the techniques, and go on and explore and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. And I really like what you were saying too about that it took you a while to kind of really be able to tap into those feelings,
Oh,
So, like, yeah, and so I think it's like good to mention that, like, if somebody's like, oh, I went to a breathwork class and
it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, like that same thing. It's like, keep going, keep doing it.
I can't meditate.
Right, yeah, that's a big one. I don't know, I can't meditate. I'm bad at meditating, or somebody. People will say that. Like, nobody's great at meditating. It's like, it's called a practice, right? And so it's like you're saying too. It's a constant battle with the mind. That's why you sit, is because the mind is so good at so conniving, so it's been doing this your whole life, trying to distract you from all the things that, whatever reason it seems to be built to, make us worry or something like that. And get caught up in other things. But so it takes time, it takes like returning to these practices over and over. And then you do get that experience. You do start feeling the energy in the chakras, and you are able to direct it upward. And then you really are able to, like, as I love that what you're doing too is bringing people into that ecstatic state, and then sending out a desire, because it's like that. It is from that point that you can contact, this divine energy that is able to bring things to you. That's what we're doing this all the time. It's just that, if you don't know you're doing it, then you're like you were saying earlier, like, oh, I realize my brain is just telling me all these terrible things about myself, And it's like, it's been manifesting, chaos life.
Chaos.
You didn't even know. Like, oh, it's like you can go up into the computer, Control Alt Delete. I always bring up, and then like, oh, it's been running these programs about self-loathing or something else, And then you get to turn those off and be like, oh, I want bliss actually. Oh, I want to feel love. Like, here you go. You actually are able to tap in and bring those into your life and experience them directly. So that's quite a beautiful way to do that. And like what you're doing is such an important work. It's necessary for, especially right now. The whole planet just went through what do you call this? I guess pandemic. We all went through a collective psychedelic trip that we didn't know we took the tea, It was just kind of forced on everyone. And so then everybody had to like come back out into the world and like, okay, now how do you relate again? So we're learning how to re-interact with each other, learning how we all want to be respected, how we want to be witnessed, heard, all of these things. So giving people these tools that will really allow them to show up in the world in a new way is what we all need, and knowing that there are tools to use, you're not alone out there. there are things to do that, bring you together with other like-minded people. And then once you find that place and that way to tap into that energy, it's like, it opens up so many new doors. So I guess just
and we need each other. I know, exactly. And we need each other. And it's like, wow, it's like, no, I mean, I would be nothing without my like coaches and my healers and my friends. And luckily my friends, we also do this healing work together. But I know so many people that don't have like close friends that they talk about like their crazy meditative experience. So that's why I share so much of my crazy experiences, because I just want people to know that they can talk about this freely. It's like, it's not hush hush anymore. Like, you're not crazy. Like, it's all part of the process. Welcome to the club. It gets even more wild. So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it gets even more wild. Yeah. It doesn't end, right?
It doesn't end. That's part of it. You just gotta accept it doesn't end. But there's definitely, like, I look back at who I was, like, pre-pandemic, right? Because a lot of my journey started, during the pandemic, as well as, I really set the intention. I want to find my purpose. And I was so committed to that. And it was a journey finding this purpose. Don't get me wrong, but it did get me here. And it's like I live so much less in confusion and more in clarity. And the overthinking that I used to do, like, I mean, now it's completely different. I think you mentioned too about the mind, right? It's like, oh, all this programming, what I've really learned in my experiences, I was overthinking so much because I was so afraid to feel. And once we start to feel more, our mind can finally be quiet. Finally you can sit in the silence that the mind loves to just be like, what about this? Don't feel. And no, it's like, wow, it's like it's such a different, peaceful state. So that even if stuff is hitting the fan, like, I have the trust that I'll figure it out, right? It's a new sense of empowerment that, to be honest, I didn't have before, only because I had to experience, wow, like I am, choosing this and I am creating this. So how can I really, just use the tools, yeah, and use the support that I have.
Yeah, that's really great. And two, to like kind of tell people as well that like, you're what do you title? What is your title? Would you call yourself?
Yes, I mean, so as you mentioned too, right? Like the sex coach part, like someone might get that and be like, oh, I'm good at sex. I don't need help. So in the end, I am a sex, love, and relationship coach, but I focus a lot on embodiment and energy. So energetic embodiment is really my flavor of coaching. And yeah, I mean, this affects your sex, love, and relationships. So, it's like master your energy, learn how to, yeah, really tune into your body and what it needs, and have that mind body connection to be a match to your desires. Like that's really the heart of my work.
Yeah, can really tell, and can tell from your energy itself that like that's really your focus, so same thing to like people out there, like you're saying, like, oh, I don't need to listen to this, I'm good at sex, or I think something like that. It's like, no, this is way more than just like teaching you how to be good at pleasuring someone else or yourself or something like that. This is really learning how to embrace life in a new way, and learn how to rewire the mind a little bit, reprogram the self, and get into feeling, and like how much is there for us when we really allow ourselves to do that. So
the deep playful work.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for seeing me, for sure. Yeah, you said it. You hit it on the head.
Perfect. Yeah, this has been really great. I've learned so much.
Yeah, truly mesmerized. And you have your new biggest fan and crush.
What would you, is there like one thing, maybe a practice, or even just something that you could give to people? Like what's something somebody could do starting today that they could incorporate into their lives that would help them in your area of expertise?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm going to stick with this one because this is the first step, is get clear on your intention. What do you want to feel? I think a lot of us, we don't even know what we want. So it's like, how can you expect the universe to create with you if you're like even scared to admit that you want something or that you really want that desire? So the more that you can start asking yourself, what do you desire? What do you desire? What is my intention? Those are the questions. Maybe it's a journaling practice, maybe it's a little you just speaking out and doing a voice recording. That's going to start priming you to really digging deep about what you truly want. So yeah, that would be my 101 rule, my number one. Start there.
Yes, that's perfect. That's great advice. Thank you for that. And like, where can people find you?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at Pretty Gypsy Dreams. And then also my website is besuccessful.com. You can sign up for my emails there. Be in the know.
Besuccessful.com.
Right.
Yeah, my business name is Be Successful. Yeah. So,
Oh, success.
Yeah. Be successful.
That's so badass. Like you did
brilliant.
That. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that evolves because I definitely have some plans. But yeah, I mean, I was in customer success for 10 years. And then, it was funny. It was like one of those like bathroom, moments where boom, the idea was like, yeah, name your business Be Successful, right? And the funny thing is, it's like, well, what's the key to be successful? Just to be. We forget we're always doing so much. You just gotta be. So a lot of the work is just how to be. Yeah.
Yes, just being. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's so great. Thank you so much, Olivia.
So thank you guys so much. It was such a fun combo.
Yeah, really great. I'd love to have you back here anytime.
Yeah. And I would love to just, we're neighbors. I want to learn your thing. I want to go to your activations. I want to,
Tuesday. Come through Tuesday. I don't know, Matt, if you're still in town, but Tuesday night from 7 to 9 in Miami, in like Edgewater area. Yeah. So I'll send you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, send me a thing. I think I'll probably be back by Tuesday. I'm in St. Pete right now, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being you and doing all that you do. And I'm excited to connect.
Amazing. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I know.